that these are topics that many times that you're only going to know on a cellular level. It's not really a mental thing that we can totally get on a deep level, because our mind just doesn't really have the capability to understand third, fourth, and fifth harmonic universal geometry. We can feel it, and we can kind of dance around in it sometimes through the realms when we travel, through our dreams or through astral projection, and through kind of connecting and opening to our guides and guardians. But our brain, most of the time, it just doesn't have the capability to understand that many levels of dimensional communication. And that is why we are really working towards lighting our body up in order to hold more light codes, so that we can activate more of our strands of our consciousness to hold a better understanding. And so it just is part of the path that we continually be on. And so last time we were talking a little bit about the Angelics and the Orifim races. We did talk a lot about the fall of Tara, the halls of Amenti, the Azurite lineages, and the angelic human races that were created, that we are the descendants of in this body, in order to be the restoration plan, the rehabilitation plan, if you will, in order to allow the step back process of returning home. So having a body for souls to incarnate into, in order to awaken consciousness again and start asking questions and going, I wonder who I am. I wonder why I resonate with this. I wonder why I resonate with Egypt, or I resonate with this temple, or why I resonate with Lemuria. And then as we ask the questions, our heart just keeps leading us to the answers and to the answers. And those aha moments is pretty much how we can feel the clicking online of light filaments and aspects of our DNA that are reinstating channels of communication for us. And it's amazing. And again, our brain will never get it, because our brain does not talk the Elohim or the Anahazi language. It doesn't talk the angelic code. It doesn't talk that language. So we have to just learn to get our brain out of the way and just let it flow through, and just let our understanding be a part of it. So we're going to touch a little bit on the threefold founder flames. And with the threefold founder flames, this is just kind of, I'm going to be pulling from a couple different resources this evening with some quotes that we get to talk about. This will be pretty short this evening. So from Lisa Renee, Energetic Synthesis, this is actually a picture from her website. She has such a beautiful way in which she shares the divine Christic dragon lineage information and the CDT plate information. So when I couple her information with the Kelantic science teachings, it's giving it two different kind of verbiages for basically the same information, so that you can just let your cellular memory not fight it, but just pull it in however it works for you. And then I have some information from another resource this evening. This is a book that I will make available to those of you in the group that would like to read it. And it's a book on contact and some of the history of the universe through from another writer. So let's go ahead and look on here. So this is just showing the kind of cosmic founder race tree, that the threefold founder flame energy from the higher heavens are the ones that then birthed down one more level, the Elohai Elohim Lyrans in the fourth harmonic universe. And that in the fourth harmonic universe, then they stepped down to the Lyran Syrian lineages. So many of you are connected with the Lyran Syrian energies, especially if you've had incarnational cycles in Lyra and also Vega. And then any of you who pretty much have connection with the Christos mission. So this would be the blue Syrian, the tall white or the blue Syrian beings, very humanoid, But they were appointed they were appointed the guardians, if you will, of many of the other councils. So they were the overseers of many of the other councils, the other planetary systems. And so knowing that each tier down kind of creates another lineage to then manage that density of the universe, then they create another lineage down, one more density to be protectors of that grid, and then they create another lineage down. And guess who we are? We're another protector. We were also created to be guardians and protectors. And so I invite all of us, that I feel those of us in the group, we really already resonate with this information, but just an invitation, especially when we are communicating with others, to start to just plant those seeds in our thoughts of others and humanity here on earth, that, hey, we're the guardians of this planet. Let's start stepping into that. And however another needs to hear that it's a beautiful way for us to kind of remember our guardianship role and step into a different way or perception of thinking of things, which steps us out of being the victimizer program anymore. Because if we're the guardians, I don't got anybody to blame anymore. I got to just step up and just take care of things. So we're stepping outside of blame. No more pointing fingers, no more nothing. If they drop something, you know what? I'm not going to worry about what level of consciousness they're at, that they don't care that happened, or where their shadow might be within their life. That we know that we're just upholding an energy of being a guardian on this planet. So who do we be? What do we choose? How do we leave the earth? How do we walk on the ground? What sacred prayer are you saying with every single step that you take on this beautiful, divine, conscious planet being that we're on? So let's talk about the three primal. So we're looking here at the threefold founder flames. So that is a term the energetic synthesis uses, the threefold founder flames. Whereas in the Keylontic science, they were going to use terms like the yanas and the Brenau. A little bit different. So the three eternal primal consciousness collectives that form the primal sound fields. This is the primal trinity called the yanas, which means the Yanasai. It just means the point of all union, or God. It's the place where all started. The beginning was the word. So this is the spiritual trinity concept that refers to the trinity of eternal consciousness, the primal sound tone fields, the eternal matrix. So these yanas, they're the eternal collectives of the consciousness projected by Source God from the three primal sound fields, the Kundalini. So we're looking at this. We could also look at this as the Akasha. So when we were doing the meditation the other day, and we were really kind of pulling forward the energy of the the Ka, and the Sha, that this is the three primal energy fields that would be the seed sound of God, the seed geometry of the God source. And as we look at this, that they are beyond, so we look at this as that they're beyond our 15-dimensional time matrix. So we're looking at the yanas that are coming, let's say, from the Andromedan mother universe. And when they kind of entered into our 15-dimensional time matrix, this is what we would call the seeding that happened about 950 billion years ago. And just to kind of know that we're going to call the yanas like geomantic entities. They're ultra-terrestrials, cosmic trinity. So they would be the consciousness that has brought forth from the higher heavens the Melchizedek cloister order, the Ayani elder council, and our cosmic family. So when we think of the blue flame, the blue ray lineage, and the sacred ascended beings that are holding these blue line lineages for us, that this is the sacred teachings that we're talking about. It's the primal sound codes from the higher heavens above us. And when we hold, remember, when we hold the sacred codes, so imagine that telephone game where you have the message from God's source and you pass it on to somebody and you tell it to them, and then they take the message and they tell it to somebody else, and then they tell it to somebody else, and then the next thing you know, it's a sacred teaching from some, native tribe on a planet 950 billion years later. The sacred practices might have gotten a little distorted, right? That's kind of what we're dealing with right now here on planet Earth. Pretty much every sacred practice is a little bit distorted. And what we're doing is we're finding what resonates in all of them, because there's a little spark of truth in basically all of them. And we take that little spark and we're learning how to align back up to God's source and breathe through the pure light code so it shines the light on the truth and on everything in those teachings that have got passed down and 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 distorted and maybe manipulated. And think about how many times has the Bible been rewritten, because my God, it needs to be rewritten so that it serves whatever king was in rulership at the time, so that the people would follow him and not the other guy, right? And so now as we think of that, we want to get in there and we want to just breathe the pure divine Trinity codes through it, and anything that is not truth won't match. It'll feel hard, it'll feel clunky, it'll hurt in your head even, and you'll just drop it away, shed it like the skin, let it go, let it go, let it go. Don't even think twice about it. Don't try to justify it. Don't try to hang on to it. Don't try to see where it fits in. Let it go. Take the spark that matches and start to rebuild with all the true filaments and light codes, especially as we reinstate our divine solar starseed memories, right? That then we can start to see, oh, this is actually what this is for. This is what this is for. And then we will be able to kind of start to allow our frequency to match the planetary consciousness as it wants to be. Because right now, planetary consciousness is at a particular level, but it also wants to match a higher level. And so we will be part of what helps it match that higher level. So here's the next way in which we look at the yanas. We can look at them as the Solar Rishi. We talk about the Solar Rishi, which I absolutely love that term. It really resonates for me. And the solar dragons, the rainbow dragon kings. And when we talk about dragons, again, we are talking about these luminary bodies that are the light and the filament-like bodies throughout the universe that are birthing creations, right? So there's the three original primal order sound fields that make up the ray aspects of our entire universal creation. The Solar Rishi. So again, we kind of heard about it as the yanas on the page before. Now we can hear about it as the Solar Rishis. Just find what resonates for you. The terms don't really matter. We don't speak the higher angelic or Elohim languages right now, but it'll come to us. Sometimes when we do light language, sometimes when we start to we'll say things and we'll start to feel the language light up through us, right? But even if we're speaking the Unhazi language, we don't mentally always know what the words are that we're saying, but every part of our light fiber lights up when it's like, ooh, but I feel what it's saying and I like it. So this is the amazing thing with this, is just that this is really kind of how the emerald order, which is the blue flame, the gold order, gold flame, and the amethyst order, violet flame, flowed through, holding the original sound tones and light tones of creation. So this is the first emanation of the primal sound field. So the fifth harmonic universe. So dimensions 13, 14, and 15. And we can see it here as we just kind of tap into that. So as we now really look at this information, that we're realizing higher heavens birth through. That as they birth through basically as solar rishis. Rishis are like ascended masters. Most ascended masters that we talk about that are labeled ascended masters are not full ascended masters. And a full ascended master would be back as a luminary body. It would be back as a planetary body consciousness. It would not hold a human form. So most human looking ascended masters that you would see on a deck of cards or something like that are just either second harmonic or maybe even third harmonic beings, but not what would be a true ascended master. So that's just something for you to kind of play with a little bit, because think of ascended master would be someone who ascended all the way out of this time matrix again. A true ascended master would be someone who was able to reinstate all of their 15 levels of self back together and whole again as a geomantic being. That's what a true ascended master would be. So there is absolutely amazing high vibrational beings throughout the cosmic universe, but it's just important to remember that we don't really want to label so much, especially if they're running around looking like a human form. We want to use a ton of discernment, because those are the primary beings that have been used from reversal beings and false beings to kind of share false prophecy, victim victimizer program and things like that, the savior program on the planet and things like that. So this is really, when we talk about this, the Solar Rishi would be kind of the primal sound fields, which would start to represent the Emerald Order and the Emerald Order Covenant. The Emerald Order Covenant was that all divine sentient beings have the right to return back to God's source. And that therefore it was through the Emerald Covenant that the beings from the meta-terrestrials, if you will, and even the ultra-terrestrials worked together with the Elohim in order to create Christos missions, plans, put things in order, create races and beings like the Angelics, like the Irma feline lions, like these beings that would help protect throughout different planetary dimensions and places throughout the universe, so that beings had the right to remember. And it's our right. You don't have to. You don't have to wake up. You don't have to come back to consciousness. You don't have to do a darn thing. You can stay in shadow if you want to. That's the right of all creation. That's how much Source loves us. If you want to stay in shadow, I love you so much, I'll let you play there. But at the same time, whenever you choose, here's the spark. And whenever you want to play with that spark, let it lead you back home. And so the Emerald Covenant holds within this 15-dimensional time matrix an ability for us to tap into that spark and return home again. So this 3 eternal gestalts of consciousness projected by the yanas are going to be the primal fields of the Ki Rasha. And we can also look at this a bit like the Akasha. So the 13th, 14th, and 15th dimensional field. And so I'm kind of repeating a lot of this so you can go back and forth and kind of feel the energy of here. So this is the Solar Rishis. Same beings as over here, the Solar Rishis over here. We're going to look at this as the 3 eternal gestalts of consciousness, the primal fields of Ki Rasha, 13, 14, and 15. And they are antimatter, spherical, thermoplasmic, conscious light radiation fields of the Ki Rasha. This is what I want to start to really, for us to start ingesting a little bit, because if we can start to expand ourselves, start to utilize those gene key gates of stepping out of our comfort zone of how a thought needs to be, let's go ahead and start to expand our awareness to this idea of antimatter, spherical, theoplasmic, conscious light radiation fields of the Ki Rasha. These basic cosmic bigger than a constellation size beings that are these conscious light fields of sacred geometry that are able to blend together to create different aspects of all of this creation. And so they are holding at the 5th density, so dimensions 13, 14, and 15. You can imagine the solar rishis are the fabric of the universe. Just kind of breathe with that for a moment. This is just how massive these beings are. And then we step down. So this light frequency fabric of the universe then steps down one more density. They go down into the 4th density. And now in the 4th density, we're going to have the Christ consciousness beings. And we have within the 10th, the 11th, and 12th dimension, we're going to have what is called the Elohim. So the metaterrestrials, or the solar rishis from the 4th and 5th harmonic universes, they were the founders of this project, working through a seed race called the Lyrans from the 3rd harmonic universe. So dimensions 7, 8, and 9, right? And these beings are called the Elohim. So you have the founder races, and then one more dimension down, they're going to create something called the Elohim. And they are going to become the overseers of the Syrian races. You can watch that even drop down one more level, like the 2nd harmonic universe. So Syrian races are going to be 2nd to 3rd harmonic universe. It gets a little tricky when you think of dimensions, because we can consciously kind of exist in multiple dimensions, just the same way you can have telepathic communication with your guides right now. You are experiencing what is multidimensional consciousness. So you're existing in the first harmonic universe, but you're also coexisting in the 2nd harmonic universe, and at times even touching into the 3rd harmonic universe, okay? But you're not there. You're merging your consciousness with it, but your physical body, here you are, right here, as far as this avatar of yourself. And so therefore, you have the ability to elevate your body to the 2nd harmonic universe, but that would require us to start to activate our light body. We are not at the level we can move through that Stargate yet physically. So the only way that we are truly doing it is consciously. We move through the Stargates consciously. We move our consciousness through because we can elevate it, but our tissues in our body are not at the level that we can activate our Merkaba body well enough to move our body straight through. So most of our journeys are called astral projection journeys or out-of-body experiences, right? And that's why that is such a powerful practice to learn, because your consciousness already is at the level that you can go talk with the council, you can go be on the ship, you can go have experiences with your guides and guardians, but you have to know how to travel that way as an astral projection right now, because our body, unless that we are having outside assistance, doesn't really have the ability to be teleported off of this planet from our own will. We would need the space belts, we would need assistance from higher technology and that sorts of things. And that will all come with due time. But for right now, we all have access. We all have access to our guides, to our Akashic records, to our different memories. And this is how we really get to touch in with this. So the Elohim became one of the numerous supervisory groups within the Terranesium experiment. And so we're just going to kind of leave it at that right now, because I really just want to talk about the Elohim. The Terranesium project, again, just to touch on that, this was the angelic human race. So this was the body that a lot of different Christ consciousness, so 3rd harmonic and 4th harmonic beings work together on to genetically create a body that could house all of the angelic codes. So all of the codes and neurons and DNA strands within it, so that whenever a consciousness entered into it, it could still communicate all the way up through the higher dimensions. So we are in this body right now. It's just some of the wiring's a little shoddy, and that's all we're doing is we're just connecting a lot of it right now. And so I want to touch on this. I really like the way this book puts it. But it's the concept of the Holy One. So when we talk about the heavens, when we talk about the angels, that the angelic realms were then created more from the Elohim, right? The Elohai, Elohim, from the Lyran races, then created the angelic races. And many of the angelic beings could be hundreds, if not even thousands of miles big. These are also incredible beings of consciousness, and they can take on many different bodies. And one of the gifts of an angelic is that an angelic can then start to take on physical form so that it can be a protector, more hands-on in the physical reality, right? And so when we say physical reality, we're talking about first harmonic universe, second harmonic universe, and even up into third harmonic universe, because even up into the ninth dimension, the light bodies many times will still choose to take on forms. They don't have to. It's very fluid as well. It's just more of a choice at that level. So the Holy One's administration is basically when we start to now look at councils across the universe, because this is another term that is thrown around pretty haphazardly. And we talk about the Galactic Federation of Worlds, the Intergalactic Federation, all of these different terms and acronyms and letters, and the Galactic Federation of Light, and on and on and on and on. And what are these? What are the Syrian Council, the Pleiadian Council, the Mintakan Council, all of these different councils, right? So within each planetary sphere, and what we are being invited into as Earth has been being worked with since like the 50s, maybe even earlier, but I think more specifically since like the 1950s, that they've been really keeping an eye on Earth, that there was an earlier time, say the Atlantean Lemurian times, where Earth was more of an open Stargate, like travel center, right? Ships coming and going, open communication, open contact, and everything like that. But most of the races here were from off-planetary. Even the Atlanteans and the Lemurians were basically from off-planetary, and they were brought or seated here, right? And many did start to incarnate here and start cycles. And then it wasn't really until the Terranusium project really got seeded again here that now we started to have real incarnational cycles again of humans, if you will, on Earth. But for a lot of time, you can think of Earth as just been so many different races that are connected to here. And there's a lot of them that are connected that we don't even know about because they don't want to be known. They're either doing experimental, they're just looking at minerals. There's a lot of beings here that their only interest is within the ocean. So they don't really care about what's going on the surface Earth, and they're interacting more on those levels. So that's the really neat thing about it, is we are a hub already. We just don't know. And this has been going on. Now we got councils that are making sure that each planetary system is starting to work. And what happens is you get like the Galactic Federation of Worlds or things like this, where they start to work kind of as a team. Well, this council is working together with this council from this planet, is working together with this council from this planet. And even though they're all kind of administrators for their own area, that they are agreeing to uphold divine law, or the law of one, or some base rules that are really based in kind of love, integrity, and the divine cosmic fabric of the universe, that kind of thing. So that's really what we're looking for when we are working with councils, because there's so many, and there's a lot of them that have different agendas, if you will. or things of interest that they are guarding over. But for the most part, many of them are still working together with larger bodies that are really working together with the ultimate, which would be the Lyran councils, say the Council of Aramatena, the Council of Avion, that kind of thing, that we are talking about the beings that are in the direct communication with the gestalts of consciousness from the higher heavens. And as we look at this, that this is about how is this seeded creation going? Is it returning back to life? And in that, we're always going to come back to this question. Was the darkness intended? Was it something that infiltrated? Or was it something that was also birthed in order to inspire the light to be more, and that for the light to teach the dark and the dark to teach the light, so that they would both grow back to source? And that's something for us to really, really be with, because inherently, when one doesn't hold a lot of the codes within oneself, one becomes that couch potato of indifference. And if there's nothing inspiring to anyone, yeah, it's a powerful question to think about. If there isn't something inspiring us, a lot of times humans will be placent. They won't choose to grow. Sometimes we need the struggle to actually get our butt moving again, you know? So this is that whole idea of stretch ourselves beyond our comfort zone, because it's how we grow, it's how we expand, it's how we let in more of the light as we move towards within ourselves. So the administrations of heaven, the way it's said here, we could start to look at some of these administrations are their tiers, and each of the tiers kind of move through the dimensional spheres. So the fifth harmonic universe would have kind of a high vibratory advisory, but they wouldn't really be stepping into physicality. They're very much plasmic, light, radiant fields of light, beings, consciousness, right? The fabric of the universe. And then as it steps into the fourth harmonic universe, now we're starting to really work with the Solar Rishi kind of energy, also the Christic energy that is the founder code, still not in physical form. And then it's as it steps down again that now we're starting to move into a physical reality where it's starting to play with the tangible matter, to direct it, to embed within it, to heal it. And so now we're talking about the Elohim. Now the Elohim are primarily the main messengers and guardians of the higher heavens. And they are the ones that are responsible for sharing their genetics to the Orifim, which was our indigo lineages in the Terranusium angelic races. So we are descendants of the Elohim. They work together. Primarily, the angelic realms take their orders, if you will. It's not really orders. It's all about a desire to be in the service to the infinite intelligence of the universe, if you will. But the angelics then take it a step down. They basically work in service, if you will, for the Elohim to carry out the sacred decrees of the divine plan relevant to that sector. So even if we think of the Elohim, they're going to be holding kind of a huge universal kind of influence, but then now we have the Orion area, we have the Lyran area, we got Andromeda going on, we have all of these places. Centaurus has its own stuff going on. We got the Taurus constellation, my goodness gracious, with the Pleiades and all kinds of stuff going on over there. And then we have our solar system, which has been a hot spot, hasn't it? So this is kind of how there's different sectors, and then it's how are the energies flowing together? Are there rips and tears? So the Elohim, they're the chief interdimensional creator beings, and they take sacred spiritual energies given by the angelic realms and then help the angels to formulate and maintain physical creation according to the divine plan. So they're kind of the in-between for the higher heavens. and the angelic realms, and they take the information that the angelics are sharing of what's going on, and then they help them formulate how to maintain that energy and work with it. So it's a very high guardianship role, which is pretty amazing when we start to kind of open our mind to this whole thing. But the reason why I love to spend so much energy with this is because this is the blue ray lineage. This is truly that blue lodge. You've probably heard it in multiple ways. There's the blue flame, there's the blue lineage Melchizedek, there's the blue lodge, the blue ray Elohim. These are all coming through manifestation from the Emerald Order. So the primary energy that's upholding the Christos mission within this entire 15-dimensional time matrix. So the blue ray Elohim, this is coming from energetic synthesis here, is the first light emanation of the Emerald Order. And so it's the Solar Rishi blue ray orders of Elohim, and then the Orifim that were created from them. So the Orifim is another angelic lineage that was created by the Elohim, and they're the four founders of the angelic races, or the Teranesium lineages, the angelic human bodies. So these are the ones that direct and support the guardian founder races in the lower harmonic universes, and they're supporting the God sovereign free liberation and the continued spiritual evolution of humanity towards ascension and the law of one. So the Emerald Order of the Elohim created the Anahazi feline Elohim races, and then these kind of went down again into the Orifim, and from the Orifim, then we move into the angelic human races. So this is kind of the family tree, if you want to look at it, kind of our ancestors, if you want to look at it. And as we evolve ourselves, that we can keep attuning to this energy through everything we're doing, because they are offering the sound tones and the light codes and the emanations. And when the solar rishis are aligning, coming through and mending the stargates again, that this is how our little cells in our body go, woohoo, I'm so excited. I just feel so jazzed. And I feel like I'm ascending, but I don't know what's happening and I can't sleep. So this is the huge energy that we really feel. This is why it's so exciting. Our brain can't conceive of it, but every part of our infinite intelligence within us totally knows what's happening. And the last thing, I actually don't have it written here, but part of the Elohim is that they are assigned by the heavens. And part of what they do is they reorder the fabric of the galactic space-time and stop the tears and rips in the sacred space, so in the sacred fabric. Is part of what a lot of the mission is. We see it as battles and all these things, and they're looking at it kind of from light frequencies. And so many of you, from even your starseed readings and stuff, this is some of the stuff that you do or have done, or part of your soul experience has done a lot of this, repairing the tears and the rips within the universe and helping to remend the body of the universe, which is amazing. And a lot of this is just the mastery of space and time, because that's really what creates the differentiation between dimensions. Is time works differently in each dimension. Space, and the sacred geometry is what holds it in place. And whenever the reversal beings come in and tinker with the geometry, what they're really trying to do is bend the light so that it serves them, so they can trap creations in their own bubbles. And that's also partially how the Earth has been, or this solar system has been quarantined, is by creating kind of a net around it in order to keep some of the energy trapped in here for a little bit until the restoration could take place. But one of the neat things that's happening, just as I end this evening, is that a huge alignment that's happening is about creating a portal that helps align us with the Sirius star system again, because the Earth has a divine connection to the Sirius star. And with this connection, as the Earth aligns with it again, what's going to happen is we're going to be pulled past the photon belt. And I haven't really talked a lot about the photon belt, just barely touched on it. But the photon belt is one of the energies that keeps our consciousness trapped in forgetfulness here in this dimension. So therefore, many times if a being can get past the photon belt, say through assistance onto a ship, or even through well done astral projection, out of body experience, that kind of thing, and you can get past the photon belt, it's as if you get all your memories back. You just kind of remember who you are. You're like, oh, I can think clearly again. It's kind of like the alcoholic buzz just goes away. And so we get past it. So this is what is happening. We are having the ability to truly start to get past this photon belt. This is going to be a monumental time for us, that it shows that there is a kind of binary star connection between the Earth and Sirius, and that our galaxy has a connection with the Andromedan galaxy. So as these start to come into alignment, of course, they're not like, overnight things, but as they do, we get to watch the mutation of our gene cells of the body continually move towards alignment. And so that's why I invite you again to really explore things like looking at the shadow through the gene keys so that you can bring the gift, because it might not seem like a lot, but you are changing the genetics for all future lines just by changing it within yourself in this lifetime. So there we go, you guys. I love you guys so much. I just wanted to get to touch on that for this evening. So thank you so much for letting me share that with you.